Hello, I am Lise Colucci. I'm one of the life coaches at queenbeing.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. Hello, everybody. Hi, Christy, and whoever else is here. Hi, E-Rock. How are you? So, how's everyone? Let me just start by saying that over at queenbeing.com, you can go over there to access any information that you might need. This is totally lagging. Let's just say, hey, we'll just talk for a second while it lags. I don't know why it's doing this. I need to figure out. It's not my, I don't know. Is it Lise? I can't read that word. I'm going to call you D. It's not readable, right? On purpose, or am I just unable to pronounce that? Hi, Belle. Hi, Karina. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, now we're going. All right, so head over to queenbeing.com if you need any help, any support, information for discovery, understanding, and overcoming narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. Head over there. You can also find information about coaching over there. You can find information about peer support over at Spanily on Facebook or on Mighty Networks. So lots of good stuff there. And today we're going to talk about duplicity and the narcissist, the chameleon, the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, or Ms. Hyde, whatever you want to call it. The dual person that you feel like you lived with or are living with. Okay, so we'll talk about that. So if you would like, and then let's talk about, go beyond that and not just talk about them, but let's talk about how that affects you and what it makes you feel like, and afterwards how it works with your head a little bit and messes with you so that we can figure out ways to recover from some of this. And if that sounds good and you would like to join me on this healing journey, let's hit subscribe. I think it's down there now. Hit the thumbs up. Let's get going and start talking about this. So, okay. What are you guys talking about? Betrayed, confused. I'm currently reading Psychopath Free. Good. Okay. Did you forget about me, my Mr. Duplicity? That's right. No. Okay. Belle, hello. Good evening. Most definitely feel like I am with two different people. Okay, and Anastasia, hello, hello. Spanly friends, you're dipping in and out this afternoon. That's okay. Okay, great. Okay, so let's get going. All right, duplicity. So it's like they're two different people, right? Minimally, but really two distinct people. It's like there's two sides to them, and you don't know which one's present. Well, maybe you know, but you never know when it's going to flip and switch to the other person. You can start tracing patterns. You can start, basically, your whole life becomes about managing this duplicitous nature that they have. The hot and cold, the vulnerable and the closed off. The one that seems like they have some element or some level of compassion, and the one that is completely cold and withholding. Though it's, hot and cold is the best way to describe it, but that's such a limiting description, right? Duplicity, now I've got Eye of the Tiger and duplicity in my head. That works. Okay. My ex would be very intelligent one day and dumb as a rock the other day. There's a good example, Life's Revival. They're really interesting. Basically, it's this, it's contradictory, paradoxical behaviors, actions, thoughts, speech, so on, right? It's a paradoxical thing. It's one and the other, or the other, rather. They're not the same. It's not, there's no blending of it. It's one or the other. It's 1 minute you are the best thing ever, and the next minute it's more than the value. It's their actual entire person shifts into a different person, and when they're in one space, there's no way to access the other one. That's what it seems like. It's like extreme moodiness is how I used to think it was. Okay, so mine seemed like the best friend and the worst enemy. Right. How confusing is that? Why do you think we have cognitive dissonance? Just that, if I read that, mine was my best friend and my worst enemy, just that. Of course, there's cognitive dissonance that comes from that. That's the way that they show you that you are their worst enemy is they start to devalue you, they criticize you, they call you names, they beat you down emotionally, right? And the way you're the best friend is all the love bombing. However, it's that duplicity that makes things so confusing in our brains to what's actually going on, right? I know now it was partly gaslighting and a cover-up and silent treatment, right? It's all of these manipulative tactics and all of the narcissistic ways of behaving are all tied together, right? And what are we saying here? Because they are juggling multiple masks. Let's talk about that. Juggling multiple masks. It is masks, okay? All of them are masks. Even so, have you ever been with a narcissist and you think you're seeing the real them? Maybe they're vulnerable or they're sharing. Maybe suddenly you feel like you had a breakthrough and you got to the real person. You see them the way you would see anyone who's being open to you, vulnerable, receptive, sharing. Have you ever seen that with a narcissistic person or a person you think might be a narcissist and you think, oh my gosh, I finally reached the core. I finally reached who they are. I finally can see who they are, and this is the person I need to talk to. If I can just get through to this part of them, then the rest of it, they don't need to put up all those walls. They don't need to, because now they trust me. Now I see them. Have you ever gotten there? What's that? That's just another mask. That's the mask of vulnerability. That's the mask of, sure, I'll let you in for a second to something that I may or may not feel, but I know how to pretend. I know how to present it in a way that gets me my way. Right? It's a mask of them trying to get their way. That's all it is. Them sucking you in deeper and deeper because they're going to shut you down as fast as they turn that on. And then once they're shut down, you can't reach them. So say you're in that space with them. You're in that kind of communication where you're having a conversation. I'm recalling one right now that was beautiful. I had this beautiful conversation that I felt like I reached this person on a level that I speak to everybody. Okay, this isn't like I'm digging deep and I need deeper into your psyche, man. This is how I talk to people. You're finally meeting me where people communicate. You're finally meeting me in a place that feels healthy and natural and like exchange. And I can remember saying something like, this is the kind of conversation I need to have often, that this is very beneficial to people relating with one another. And, and they said, oh, okay. Well, this really tires me out. I can only do it for so long. And I'm thinking, how can it tire you out? Yeah, it can be emotionally fatiguing if it's deep and heavy stuff. It can be emotionally overwhelming if you're a survivor or if you have, triggers or whatever. It can be emotionally a lot. But can't take it too draining didn't make any sense to my brain. So there's that. And then I said, okay, well, while we're talking, these are the things that have been going on that I'm struggling with. And can you hear me? Yeah, I hear you. I'll try to work on those things. You need to remind me when I do them. Oh, I reached this person. I can tell him later when he's doing the thing that whatever it is. And of course, as soon as that mask comes off and the mask of stone cold, I'm not going to let you in. I'm not going to, you're beneath me, blah, blah, blah. As soon as the other mask goes on, when you say, oh, this is one of those times, remember we talked and this is one of those times that, you said to remind you, and they said, I don't know what you're talking about. You're the one causing problems. You're rude, you disrespectful person, blah, blah, blah. You see, they flip it. There is no getting through. It's all masks. It's all masks. And the duplicity is like, I think what happens is that they acquire masks through life, right? So they experience and they mirror and they take on a persona that suits the situation that they're in, right? I mean, think Eddie Haskell and Leave It to Beaver, right? He puts on the persona for the parents and then a totally different persona when he's around just the kids, right? So they put on a mask to suit a situation. They create a filter that they want you to see them through intentionally. They create a filter. They say, okay, I want them to think I am intelligent and I want this relationship to look this way. I'm in charge. I'm intelligent. I'm superior, blah, blah, blah. And so they put that on and however that looks to them. And that's how they are with that person. Okay, so then that relationship rides out and they've got other masks they're putting on for other reasons, right? But that relationship rides out, it ends, they discard, they move on. Well, they're still got that mask in their back pocket. So whenever a situation's triggering to them for that, bam, on goes that mask that they learned. It's like an actor learning a part, never letting that part go and always having it at the ready to do parlor tricks. Only the parlor tricks are your life, right? So when you're with one, they're putting on the mask that they want you to see them as. And then they're flipping on these other masks in different situations. But then I think there's core ones, like there is the hot and cold and the nice. There's a reason we're attracted to them. It's not because they're mean all the time, right? They have the good side. And that good side is charming, or it's attractive, or it's funny, or it's love bombing. It's all of that. Okay, so what are you guys thinking here? Okay, can't see. Okay, because they're juggling multiple masks with the triangulation and just being off their freaking rocker, right? Okay, mine seems like the best friend, and in my word, we read that already. Okay. Now I know it was partly, okay, where totally dealing with two faces, says Anastasia. Never sure how to interact. Right. Lately, it's been mostly nonstop monster, but last night, lots of kindness. Appreciating that in itself without relying on it continuing. And do you see what happens? We have to then manage, okay, what was it that triggered the kindness? When you're with them, we're thinking, okay, so when they got their way, when I didn't make any waves, when I didn't mention the fact that they were 3 hours late, when I didn't do this, when I didn't do that, we start managing our lives based on what won't trigger the monster coming out. And so this is how the duplicitous nature affects someone. If you don't know, it's the walking on eggshells, right? If you don't know what's going to be that trigger point, you just start pulling back everything that you would naturally do in a relationship and manage yourself and the relationship based on the needs of the narc. So yeah, that's what's going on there. Especially when it comes to this. Okay, I missed something there, making me tear up thinking about him like that. It is, yeah. I was hoping for change, but in hindsight, it was artificial, cold, and had an element of desperation, figuring out if I was hooverable, right? Anastasia's saying freedom comes in not trying to convince them to change. It comes in taking care of yourself and expecting your partner or family member or whatever to be as emotionally mature as you are and take care of themselves emotionally. That's what it comes down to. We're not here to fix other people. We're here to live our lives, right? We can support and offer help to other people in some ways, but we can't fix them. And when our life is about managing and fixing someone else because of their horrible behavior towards you, that's when it's time to find your freedom, right? And stop trying to change and convince yourself that they're changeable or that it's your responsibility to do so, because it's not. Self that wasn't on I'm lost here. Hello, I'm just thinking of those times he seemed to let me in, but then after the fact, I found out even those were lies. Right. It's sad, isn't it, Christy? It's awful. It's awful because we spend all this energy and all this focus on maintaining a relationship that isn't real. It's not there to benefit both people. It's supply towards one person. It tires them out because they're choosing every word they speak with strict care. It's exactly why it tires them out too. That was because he had to sit and actually consider what was going to be said and consider what it was that he should say in order to manipulate the situation to go the way he wanted it to go. That's why it's so exhausting for them. All right. didn't realize what I was carrying with me. There's just a bunch of things I have only realized after extreme. Yeah, there's these little things come out, don't they? All right. I remember the ex-narcissist put on the vulnerable mask and just said, "Really, ex?" He started laughing, like knowing I got it. We try to manage and elicit kindness, but it's so totally arbitrary. Exactly, Anastasia. We can't do anything to ensure they won't abuse us. Well, no, you can do except leave, because you can pretty much ensure they will if you don't. That's the sad part. Because without empathy, all it is a mask to manipulate, right? It's not there. I'm not vulnerable to you in a relationship when I'm a narcissist because I want to share my experience with you and become closer to you, right? What they're doing is they're sucking your attention. It's poor me. I'm so sad and vulnerable. Don't get mad at me. How could you be mad at me? Look at me. I have big eyes, that's all it is. It's not about shared experience or connection. So yeah, it's arbitrary because of that too, right? What are we saying? My ex told me his first wife and twin toddlers died in a car accident. Nope, the third ex showed me her Facebook profile. Oh my gosh, that and then the blatant lies, right? Okay. Time to stop ceding my whole world to this one looming emotional whimsical person who consumes us if we let them. That's right. It is. It's time to start focusing on the one that matters, which is you. I have a narcissist trying to drive me crazy in my building. Yes, the woman. Yes. Okay. I revealed my vulnerabilities to her when I moved into this building. She lives on that first. Okay. All right. So what else about the duplicity? So here's an interesting one. Have you ever felt like they actually look different when they're in different states, when they have different masks on? It kind of makes you feel crazy. I can remember looking at him and thinking that, why does he look smaller? Like physically, why does he physically look smaller sometimes? Or sometimes he'd look really old or sometimes really young. And I thought, I am losing my marbles. I must be losing my marbles. It has to be that. It has to be me. I have to be going crazy because this person actually physically looks different. Like they don't even seem like the same, like they look like the same person. And right? People are saying yes and absolutely. But then that doesn't happening. I noticed like it took me a while to realize, wait, that only happens with them. It's not like I walk around and everybody doesn't look the same as themselves. It's just in this relationship. And it's usually in intense situations when his moods change. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Has Chef seen these things? You thought the same. Yes, mine did. And literally from day to day, says Jody. It's the most interesting thing. It's like watching an actor on stage. And it isn't that they are dissociating and that they are actually becoming an alter of themselves, of a part of themselves. They aren't fragmenting in there. It's a mask. It's a deliberate, intentional thing to block out. I don't know. I don't understand that part at all, except for that they're darn good actors. Yeah. Eyes changed colors too. Yes. I don't know how they do that. Chameleons, right? It's like a chameleon. And it's the most interesting. Hey, Mal Cowboy. It's the most interesting thing to me to witness that. And it freaked me out for a long time. I couldn't figure that out, and I still don't understand it, but it's there. And it's part of this. It's part of this, like, this is the empty, soulless eyes, or the ones that were, yeah. Okay. He was the ultimate shapeshifter, says Mo Cowboy. His little innocent victim boy was light years away from his master of the universe. Uh-huh. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, those are good words to use as well. I know that one. Mine actually has Charles Manson eyes. Oh, that's scary. When screaming at me, family member was deeply involved in the case and wrote a book. Oh, that's scary. The mask of different personalities. But here's the thing. They're not personalities. They're masks. They're half-formed mirroring of other people's personalities that they have, of things that they've learned to put on in order to manipulate other people in their lives and other situations in their lives. So maybe when they feel hurt, the victim, little boy, little girl, whatever mask is put on, and the tears come out, and the the woe is me and the whole victim thing is there. But that isn't a fully formed personality in itself. It's a piece of, and it's integrated with all the other personalities, that other masks that they put on. It's like wearing a shell all the time. And the true you is inside of there. Well, who is the true them? What I've heard is there isn't one, is that it's a half-formed, immature, sort of unfinished part of the psychological person in there. Like the personality that's in them isn't a fully formed one, the true personality. This is what I've heard. I don't understand that, but that to me, it must be frightening then, right? Because then all they are is masks. I think that's what happens when they break down, and when you finally pull all the masks off, and you absolutely won't go back to them. And they're in that stage of Hoover where they're begging you to come back. And have you ever seen one come unglued? And it's like you don't. It's like to me, it was like seeing like a sci-fi movie of some sort of, I don't know, like a android person of some sort, like some sort of, what do we call it? Artificial intelligent person in person form, short wiring, like fuses all mixed up. What I'm doing here, it was like that, only in like there was nothing. It was just this big jumble of confusion, of not taking care of oneself, of losing a bunch of weight, of like massive confusion. It was like, there's the real personality. It doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know. It doesn't know how to be anything at all except for the masks that it puts on. And when they're all stripped off, there it is. What is that? I don't know. I don't know what to do with that, because you can't relate to it, because it can't even speak to you like from a place of knowing what it wants or needs, right? Because it's been hiding. So I don't know. That's what I've seen. I don't know what that is, but okay. I think he changed his appearance and sometimes his accent because he didn't want to take responsibility for his actions, so he became someone else. Andy, that's exactly partially what I'm talking about as well. It's to escape accountability. They put on a different mask. So if you're upset with them and they're being really nice, like he would get really nice if I'd be upset, or whatever. He'd get, oh, okay, I understand. I hear you. That must be hard. That's he had all the right words to say because he had learned nonviolent communication, right? So he had all of that to say. Oh, I hear you. I hear that must be really tough but you can only say that so many times before that's empty. And a person like me feels empty from it. So I'm like, okay, if that, then what? Then what? Bam, on goes the mask of, how dare you be so offensive? That mask that is his way of doing exactly what Andy said completely. And the look would change, the posture would change, everything would change. And he looked like a different person. So yeah, okay. I mean, we're talking about masks here, but really the hot and cold part is what I want to talk about, or what I started talking about the most. Okay, let's see. Oh, cowboy, master of the universe. Okay, let's see. Where are we? Sounds scary, empty inside, not knowing what they are. Right. It is scary. It must be. I don't know. Total pod person, play acting at human. I feel like the dude everyone thinks is crazy at the end of old Body Snatchers movie. Exactly. Yes. All right. I'm sure I'm not the only one who thought they had multiple personality problem. No. In fact, that's what I thought was going on. I thought, okay, I need to be compassionate because he can't help it. They can fully help it. They're doing it on purpose. There's a difference, right? And it's also not flipping into an alter from one state to another because of a trigger. It's reacting to avoid accountability or to manipulate a situation on purpose by deliberately putting on a personality style that works for that situation. It's acting. And their whole life is acting. So there's the difference, or there's a difference. And I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't speak to it on any level other than what I've read and understand on, but yeah. Okay. I mean, and I have said this before that, and I still have to find the source on this. It was a psychological journal. What do you call it? Chat room, not chat room, board, message board. And somebody asked that question, and the psychologist that came on, and I don't know his name, and I don't know anything about this person, but they said that it's like what I said earlier, multitude of half-formed personalities that we call masks woven together that create what looks like a personality, and that underneath it, there is no true personality. There's only a very immature, another, semi-formed personality underneath it all, so there's nowhere for them to go because that their whole life is about putting on the masks. All right. I used to call her out for being both an idiot and know-it-all at the same time on the same subject. Yeah. Right. Okay. He would pretend to be drunk when he came home as a cover-up. Oh, yeah. So strange. Best and worst actor. They are narculas, soul-sucking vampires. I thought mine was just a pathological liar until I started looking more into it. And after he left, I listened to Psychopath Free and cried for the first hour of it. And I'm hoping that was very cathartic crying that gave you validation as well. I know it did me. I listened to that one driving and had to pull over multiple times to just process what was said and feel the fact that it was validating and so useful. It's a very useful book. Okay. All right. So I think flipping it to us and what this does to us. First of all, we have to know that this happens, and it isn't that we're crazy and we're seeing things. This is actually how it looks when you're with someone who's like this. This is how, when I said the weirdest part, which is that they actually look different, like you really believe it's even his size looked different. Sometimes he'd look 6'2", and other times he'd look like barely 4 feet tall to me, not that big, but seriously, his size looked different. And that just was strange. Like, what is going on here with my eyes, right? So that's some good acting, I think. So even that part, when I said that, everyone was saying, yeah, I experienced that. So if anyone's watching this that is confused about what they're seeing, know that it's pretty common to have this experience and take the validation that gives you, because this is a confusing part. What did it do to you guys when you were experiencing or are experiencing this kind of duplicity and the mask shifting, but mainly the hot and cold, the confusion of that paradox that they're smart and they act like the smart, they can be highly intelligent and act completely stupid at the same time, or ignorant of a situation, or ignorant in general, at the same time. How does it's crazy making is what Mo Cowboy is saying. Oh, that the body and size could change. Isn't that weird? That was interesting. Crazy making. I was about to say the exact same thing. So you felt crazy. It crippled me. My mom told me it was time to go get my hormones checked. 3 years, I thought it was my hormones. Okay. Yep. No one seems to understand, even if they knew him like my parents did, they did not like him, right? I just couldn't figure out why he always wanted to hurt me. It's hard to know what to make of it. Definitely crazy making. So it makes you feel like do you see how when somebody over and over, when I'm hearing it's crazy making, what I'm sensing is it's a form of gaslighting. Gaslighting is crazy making, or it's tied into it. All of these things are tied together, right? All of their ways. So what did it do? How did you find your way out of it? How did you see it for what it is? Or are you still in the process of that? How does it help you to not feel crazy? To not feel like something's wrong with you? How also, okay, let's talk about it was literally insane and unreal is what Jack is saying. Right. I think this is the part that makes no sense because you live with the person. Okay. Most of us, when we hang out with someone, when we're involved with someone in particular, when we're living with someone even more so, we get used to the what is the word? The consistency, right? We get used to a person being how they are. We know that if it's raining outside, so-and-so might feel a little grumpy until they get their coffee or whatever, right? We know people's patterns, people's behaviors. This is beyond that. This is taking it to an extreme because number one, you don't know when the switch is going to flip. There are certain things that trigger certain things, but they're weird, covert, subtle, minute things that can trigger it. Or it's just like the love bomb devalue. Why? Because the narcissist is in whatever mood they're in for the type of supply they need. That's all. That's the only why. So it's massively confusing. It throws you into a state of cognitive dissonance because you're waiting for the good side to come back always. And you're blocking out the bad stuff, the other persona that you're seeing. And you're thinking, if I just wait it out, it's making you manage the situation. So you're spending your whole life managing a relationship versus being in one equally where you are creating relationship. You're managing somebody else's moods, but you're not, because there really is no way to manage it. All you can do is keep yourself safe. And so your whole life becomes about survival. You see? It helps fully knowing that she's ill, but the crazy part is that nobody else knows. And we have to let go of worrying about other people figuring it out because it's at a certain point it's self-protection and you can only lead them to the information. They have to take it in, right? The folks in my life who understand when I talk to them still facilitate their abuse and action. That awareness could actually elicit different response. I'm a little lost at what you're saying there because I think I missed part of it. Okay, Lise Rebel. I couldn't see any of it until he abused me so badly that I finally filed for divorce. No consistency, says Christy. I would do something the way he liked it. And depending on his mood, he might scream at me, telling me I'm doing it wrong. Exactly. Yes. The consistency is wavering, right? And it's super confusing. Okay. I started listening to my gut and instinct. There you go. That helped. But I still do question things. Words that look fine in a text, but I know a greater context for them. Totally makes sense, Angela. Totally makes sense. Because we know the way that they intend it. Well, we don't know their intentions. We know the pattern by which in the past they have used those words to create either devaluing or whatever towards you. And so you can hear one tiny word, it looks completely innocent. Oh, you're dealing with a covert, right? Like I said, if you heard the conversations in written form, you would wonder who the problem was, or where the problem was. You could see it if you know what gaslighting is. But there was no name calling or any of the other stuff. It was just this mood shift that turned him into the one that wouldn't listen, the stone wall, right? All right. They blow things up in temper. Number one real rule, don't ask them to look at themselves. Danger, danger, Will Rogers. Yes, do not ask them to look. Well, it's all that's going to do is create a rapid narc panic attack, right? Where they have to immediately start defending and protecting their ego immediately. So there goes the blame shifting. There goes all the other stuff that it's yeah. I feel like a conditioned animal with his words. Ooh, I getcha. Yeah. It's programming, right? So you're still in it, it sounds like, Angela, and how can you get yourself free from this? What do you need? Also, now let's open it up to, I'm going to have to end pretty shortly here. I have a short one today. So anyone has anything they want to talk about outside this topic, please go ahead. Or if you need any help with your own situation, go ahead and ask at any point. I will try and read them. Grasping that others may only see one mask took me time. I tried to explain it to others and simply sounded crazier and crazier. It took confirmation by other survivors to accept reality. Yeah, that's Mo Cowboy. It's true, right? Yeah, exactly what you said. Christy saying he had a fit when I changed the settings on the toaster and then wouldn't eat and was pissed all night. Yeah. So, okay, no, I'm financially dependent, but on my own with home and etc. I'm safe for now until the divorce. Okay, so how has that programming affected you? Do you still feel like, I mean, how is that? How do we get out? How do we get away from this? This is where I'm getting at. What is it done? Or is there anything, or are we just talking? I guess is dealing with him is keeping it as gray rock as you can through the attorneys, through email only, I ask permission for things. Okay, that's a good one. Thank you. Thank you for engaging with me. You're angry. Okay. You're angry now. This has affected you and it's made you angry, you rock freedom. And you, Angela, are asking permission for things from everybody. Just like, can I do this? Can I do that? Is this okay? I'm going to do this. Is this okay? Is that kind of thing where, is that right? Is that right if I do this? So you see how they knocked it's like no, just for the ex. Oh, okay. Okay. Just for him. Because you have to deal with him. Right. Right. So maybe it's a matter of getting more business-like about it and minimizing the words you use so that it is less so that way. And a polite thank you is one thing, but a begging is not okay. Yes, same with me. Permission always from the narcissist or to everyone. Some people, this goes beyond because it sets the programming that they can't live their life without asking for other people if things are okay. And they, you think of him as an alien. There you go. That's right. You feel sad, really. It's that inner child wound. I know. Smear campaigns are the worst. Let's see. Can't hurt me. What are we reading? Okay. Been asking permission since childhood with family and narcula. How does that affect you to act? How does it affect you in the rest of your life when you have to ask permission like that? I was a puppet on the strings. You see what I'm getting at? I'm trying to see how can we transform some of this into something else? How can we move through it and heal it so that it's not affecting the rest of your life? It's bad enough that it affects when you deal with the toxic people, right? I think I'm more sensitive to judgment. He used to judge me so much more. He's more sensitive to judgment. And so then do you judge yourself or do you feel judged by other people or both? And yeah, it's okay. So what this is bringing me to is let's talk next week about our own limiting beliefs and programming. Sound good? And let's do that on Monday. so that you guys have time if you want to join me on Monday to think about it and see what comes up for you guys over the weekend. When you think about limiting beliefs and programming, as all of this relates to how it's affected you, so that you can break free from some of it. Totally more sensitive to judgment. Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. All right. So think about it over the weekend, but don't get yourselves all wound up about it. Think about how it's affecting your life, the way you feel when you feel judged by someone. How is it coming out? So we have something to talk about. Maybe about projection and identification. I would need more information. What you mean there? Sorry, I'm reading as I'm talking, and it's not doing a good job. No contact is absolutely necessary to put your brain back together. It is, as much as you can get it. And that's why I said use email as much as you can with a narcissist you're divorcing. Go through your attorneys. And if you need to contact them at all, use email so that you are not stopped in your tracks when a series of texts come through, right? It's just one email. You answer it once a day, and that's it. Let's see. It's been really alienating. I lost family because I can't keep up with the smear campaigns. It is so, the effects are just pervasive. And okay. Hi, T-Berry. Like identifying with someone else's projection. Okay, so what I would call that is assuming that you are responsible for someone else's emotional state, assuming that it is yours to take on, identifying with someone else's projection, meaning you, why am I not grasping? I know what you're talking about, but I'm not finding words for how to restate that in a way that can open it up to a bigger topic. I'll think about it. Assumptions is one thing, like looking at the assumptions we have based on someone's okay, Iraq Freedom. I'll think about that and try to come up with something. So we have our limiting beliefs and then identifying with other people's projections. Okay. All right. They treat you how they want you to. Okay. Believing we're the person the narc tells us we are. Right. That's part of it, as that's part of the programming as well, and the beliefs that are formed from trauma. So we'll talk about trauma and how beliefs are formed, the pattern of how beliefs are made and how they're created. And then we'll do that. Okay. I never participated in something like this. I love it. Thank you. You're welcome. It's fun. Peace and love and kindness to all of you. Let's see what else. Anybody have anything that they need help with before I go? I'm going to go in like 5 minutes. So anything anybody needs to talk about or has a question about that I missed while I was like scanning it. I was scanning it. Okay. I'm not seeing anything come up, so I'm going to stop. If anyone has the need for coaching or group coaching, look in the main section, the main description of any video, and there are links to all of that. Know that there is an ongoing group coaching. Big question for another time. Okay, Anastasia, keep it, hold it, bring it to me, or ask it, because I have a few minutes. I don't need to end right now. I'm just kind of like wrapping it up. Can you recover even partially if you are not able to go? No contact. Yes. When do I have which, Christy? This particular thing that we're doing right now on YouTube, I do Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I'm sorry, but my times are not set because of the way my life is at this moment with scheduling. So I try to come on in the mornings on Monday, Pacific, like late morning in Pacific time. Tuesday, I usually go after Angie and Dana whenever they end. Thursday, It's yesterday, right? Yeah. So Thursdays I do in the late mornings, and then Friday is kind of my wild card. I'll either do it in the mornings or around this time. So, and yeah, hit subscribe. And also, if you want text notification of when I am going live, I text 10 minutes prior to. Text me at 33222, put the word Lise Live, LISELIVE, and hit send, and I will send in, the text will come through about 10 minutes prior so you don't miss it. Okay, somebody asked something. Can you recover even partially if you are not able to go no contact? You absolutely can, because you can start putting focus back on your life. That's like asking, to me, it's like asking, can someone in a war-torn country, someone in a state of living in a situation that is very difficult, still have a life that's meaningful and good? Yes, they can. Is it easy? No, it's not. Okay. It's not easy no matter what. This is recovering from trauma, right? Being in the presence of and having to break trauma bonds while you still have contact with someone is very difficult. Not impossible, very difficult. There are people who are able to shut it off, completely alter the way that relationship looks so that it's a business-like relationship. You have to be willing to let go a lot. You have to be way more willing and ready to let go than when you completely go no contact. But the focus can shift back to self. It's always about putting the focus back onto yourself in order to live your life, not manage a relationship. Does that make sense? So if you're not able to go no contact, but you're low contact, you set some parameters of control for that. I will only email, period. Or I will use a parenting app to, or if it's a business thing, we will talk during business hours during these times, and that is it. You set the control of your boundary. It's about holding very, very firm and clear boundaries. And at the same time, working on self-care, working on self-nurturing, figuring out what the triggers are. It's all the things that you have to work on yourself, doing it in a nurturing and kind and loving way towards yourself, so that you're building a friend inside yourself that you have, and that your life is going the direction you want it to go. You put your focus on the things you want to focus on, and you keep very limited, very, very as small as you can contact, gray rock all the time, that kind of thing. Does that make sense? That you can absolutely partially, or even, I'm not going to say what level of healing you can achieve. It's difficult, but yes, you can. Continually staying in the drama of it is going to be toxic for you. So make sure you make the self-care stuff is what I think is what saves you there. Let's see, is anything else you guys had? You're talking about Charlie Brown. 33222 for notifications. Yes, Lise Live, LISELIVE. One word. Thank you all. Anything I missed? Here, I'll type it in. It's on the main, Christy, it's on the main description of every video, how you can receive the texting notifications, but I will type it in here as well when I'm done, when I go off air. So just look for it at the very end. Okay, I think that's it for today. A little discombobulated. What did I say? What did I already say? Let's just say it again. Head over to queenbeing.com if you have any need for any information at all about narcissistic abuse recovery. Okay, so much information over there. Or to access links for support groups, for coaching, for any of that, all right? For classes, for information, head over there and check us out. Otherwise, you guys have a great day. You take care. I always have a good weekend, and I will see you on Monday. I keep wanting to do weekend ones, but I'm just juggling. So I will eventually. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, you guys take care. Goodbye. And I don't know, Christy, I'll put the info down below in the chat. Bye.